Black Friday, Cyber Monday promo, you pulled in 1.1 mil in revenue, which is awesome. Last month, March, you did your second biggest month of $860,000 throughout that month. And last month for World Sleep Day, you ran a one-day sale which pulled in 180K in 24 hours. Boom! That would have been awesome, man. You would have just been like,
yeah, it was like the milestone. I was like, there was like definitely a milestone to celebrate sort of.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Ecom Unleashed podcast. Today I've got an e-commerce legend with me, Daniel Ebbett. How you going, mate?
Hey Ty, yeah, good man. Happy to be here and jump into all things ecom.
How's NZ going? You down there in NZ?
Yeah, bro. Yeah, pretty good, man.
Oh, sweet as, bro. You haven't got a really thick accent, which is okay, so I can understand you.
Yeah, good.
Awesome. Well, I'll give everyone a bit of a background into Daniel's life. Honestly, his business is rocking. It's killing it. So Daniel co-founded Block Blue Light with his wife 7 years ago, a premium light blocking glasses brand that is focused on making mitigating blue light a mainstream concern and giving people the tools to be able to be their best selves in today's digital age. Fast forward to 2023, Block Blue Light is tracking for a whopping $10 million in sales this year, which is crazy. And you know what the even more crazy thing is? He's done this without any staff. It's just him and his missus. How crazy is that? Look, when I heard that, that's just unbelievable, man. Well done.
Yeah, it's been a bit when most people hear that, they're like, what? Just so you don't have a team of 20 people. We're like, no,
insane, man.
Yeah.
And insane. We'll get into that in a second. Look, Daniel recently reached out to me because he wanted to start trialing our Shopify upsell app that's going to help him run gifts on his store, but we haven't actually run any of that yet, so I can't really tell you any of the results or anything. Look forward to doing that down the track. But we started chatting and I felt like we needed to share his flipping epic story with you all. I just wanted to take a moment to invite you to our free AI-powered e-commerce newsletter. Our AI newsletter identifies the most relevant content and thought leaders to give you a competitive edge in this rapidly changing world of e-commerce. The e-commerce landscape changes daily and it's only going to move faster as AI gets smarter, technology advances, and the digital world merges more with ours and our customers' daily lives. When you join up, it's completely free. The AI will start sending you e-commerce articles and over time, it learns what you're interested in. Also, the more people who join, the better it will get over time. So make sure to spread the word. Go to ecomunleashed.co or click the link in the show notes. I hope this newsletter helps empower your business. Let's rewind. You went from server engineer to e-commerce entrepreneur. Please explain. How does that work?
Yeah, exactly. How does that work? But I can actually rewind even a little bit before I became a server engineer because...
Let's do it. Let's go back to when you were born.
But believe it or not, at university, I did a degree in e-commerce. It was,
wow.
Yeah, like Bachelor of E-commerce is what that's my formal education.
Hang on, I didn't even know that was a degree.
It was like, so this is back in 2006, right? So our university's like, e-com's the biggest next thing, we're going to create a degree around it. It was a shitty degree. Like I didn't learn anything about e-com in that.
What the heck would they have taught you in e-com?
It was a hybrid of like computer science. I did coding and then like management systems and supply chain management. So I was like, this is not e-com. But anyway, it's just quite random how I did a degree in that. And then went into study and have a career in IT for 12 years and then circled back around and now I'm back in ecom. It's quite funny. It's just quite funny because absolutely nothing to do with ecom, but I have a Bachelor of E-commerce.
Did you learn anything in that world that kind of transferred it?
I think enough because it was a 3-year degree. In the third year, we had to create a website. This is back when Shopify didn't exist or anything, right? So it was like the most. I just remember it was this random. We had to buy a domain and then create a website. I don't know. I came out of there and I was like, "What am I doing? What is this?" So yeah, pretty crack up.
Yeah, wow. But you circled back around, yep.
Yeah. So I ended up back in the ecom world. But so yeah, if we actually look at the story of how I ended up here? So yeah, out of university. I at the start of university, like most people, they party a lot and don't really live healthy lifestyles, right? And I was sort of getting I actually stayed at university 4 years, came back to postgrad, and kind of in that fourth year, I was like, I probably should start taking care of myself a bit, I'm about to enter the working world, and like I can see the value in looking after myself mentally, physically, to start my career, right? So I really got into health and wellness, like cut all the drinking, cut all the partying, got into like the gym, so right into dieting and like food, and then I got into powerlifting. So I was like competing like really quite competitively in powerlifting. Finished university, moved over to Australia, into Sydney, and my dream was to pretty much climb the corporate ladder, right? Get into a large like corporate company there, move my way up, sort of thing. So I landed a job with IAG, or Insurance Australia Group, which is like massive, international insurance company. So I was a graduate there, and whilst I was now competing in Australia in powerlifting, like at an elite level in Australia, right? And so I was like all in on like health, wellness, exercise.
No way.
Whilst trying to start up a career in the corporate world. And within about, I'm going to say 2 months of moving into that corporate environment, like I developed severe migraines and insomnia. Like I couldn't sleep. Like I was just like, what's going on? This is crazy. I'm like the healthy guy, right? I'm the guy like that's just doing like everything for health, right? And what I had deemed was like being healthy was like you eat right and you exercise and you're going to be healthy. And I was like, why do I feel like shit? Why have I got migraines and why can't I sleep? So I kind of went to my doctor and went through a whole rigmarole of trying prescription drugs and everything, and it just got to the point where I was like, I had to give up powerlifting. I was quite severely sick and was barely hanging it together at work, right? Trying to present myself at work and trying to perform whilst dealing with like chronic health conditions, right? And so I essentially got to the point I fired my doctor. I was like, I'm done with you. Like, this is not working. Like a year of like pain and just drugs and nothing doing anything. I was like, well, there's got to be something going on here. And I was like, well, I'm an analytical guy. Like I'm in analyzing IT systems, designing systems. I'm like, why don't I apply that thinking to the human system and work out like what is going on here? Because I'm the healthy guy and I'm not healthy anymore.
Yeah.
And kind of led me down a massive rabbit hole, essentially trying to look at and understand like how light impacts our biology. So I nerded out on all the science behind it and just looking at kind of like how we're living in an artificial lit world and how that can actually govern a lot of our hormones, regulate a lot of our day-night cycles and sleep, and modulates a whole bunch of processes in the body. And I was like, whoa, holy shit, there's something here. I'm going to look into this further. So I kind of was like, I need to mitigate the effects of the office environment I'm in. I'm indoors all the time under like artificial lighting, on screens a lot. And just remember, this is in like 2010, right? So yeah. I think it was like the iPhone 2. Like there wasn't the digital age we're in now. We weren't
really even obsessed with our screens yet. Like the general population wasn't.
No, I don't even think I had an iPhone or a smartphone at this point. But so like that's why I was like, I see myself as a real early mover on this, but I'm ultra sensitive to that type of lighting, right? So it affected me a lot. So I started looking into it, couldn't really find the solution. So I kind of knew it was like, I want to mitigate the light in the office because it's really having an impact, and I'm working at night on the screens and it's really having an impact. So I found some safety glasses, like these big welding glasses from America. There's this brand that supposedly blocked 99% of blue light, and I was like, hey, let's just try this out. So I ordered them on Amazon. They took a month to come, and then I literally started rocking them in the office, like these massive, like almost like welding goggles. I think people were like looking at me like, what is this guy up to? And I'm like, man, the things you do for your health, desperation sort of thing.
Wow.
And it had such a profound impact. Like it was like within 12 months of me like trying so hard to reverse my like health and put myself into better health, that had an impact. And I was like, holy shit, no, like this, how can it be so simple? Like a $20 pair of glasses is the thing that is going to reverse all this. And I was like, I've been trying to take like all these expensive drugs and seeing specialists and trying all these different techniques. And I was like, it's literally a pair of like welding goggles. And I was like, this is crazy. And I was like, I can't be the only one, right? Like I'm not like an unusual person in an unusual environment working. There's going to be other people like this. And I was like, well,
for sure.
I'm just going to buy like 50 of those. And like, Shopify existed now. I was like, hey, Shopify, like this is like easy. I can do this.
Awesome.
So like back in the infancy of Shopify, right? I was like, yeah, let's slap up a Shopify store. Just got a free theme. Found a designer in like Pakistan to create us a logo, and we were born. I was like, yeah, let's do it. So I'm not gonna lie, it was put all the website up, all excited, and it was like crickets, right? I was just like, okay.
Which is exactly, that story plays out for like nearly 99% of stores. People they put it all up there and they're like, I've spent the last 3 months slaving over this website, and then there's literally nothing there. And they're freaking out over that launch day, you know? They're like, oh, it's going to go live today. There's no one on there.
Yeah. So we were never called Blockly Live. Our original name was Blue Blockers. That was our name back then. So I can actually tell you why we had to change our name. There's a big story behind that as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we kind of started up, had these big ugly glasses, and started just trying to like discuss it and write blog posts, talk about it a bit more. And to be honest, it didn't do much. And I kind of was like, oh, well, that was a bit of a flop. I'm still going to do it. I was like, oh yeah, we'll so import them. So we found a few more products. Like we introduced like little night lights and a few things. So I think we had 5 SKUs on the store.
Yep.
And we had always set up like from the get-go. It was like, I don't want to be dealing with orders and stuff. I'm still trying to, in my own career, right? So we went into a 3PL from day one. Like I was like, we'll just take a hit on the margin and we'll just go in there. And so that played.
For anyone listening, so 3PL is just a third party that's basically doing all of the shipping. They look after all your stock, and you just got the SKUs. You got a system in Shopify that kind of flicks everything over to them, and then they can see the order, and then they send it all off for you, right?
Yeah.
And that costs. How much does that cost per order, roughly?
Like they're probably $3 or $4 sort of thing.
Okay, so instead of having staff, boom, there you go.
Yeah. So that was kind of what we put in at the start, because I was like, if this blows up, then sweet, we can just ride the wave, and I'll just be sitting just doing my thing, and all these orders are going to come in. It's going to be sweet. And obviously
planning for growth when there's crickets on the store. I love it.
And so, but I still was like, nah, this is still definitely going to be a thing, because like you could see like the digital age sort of starting, and I was like, oh, it's going to be an issue. Like it's got to be like there. And a couple of years went by, I guess, and it kind of just sat there and it hovered around. I wasn't, to be honest, I was probably working on it like 4 hours a week. That's probably what I was doing. I was like, oh yeah, like, dealing with the odd bit of issues, the random questions we got, and we never made any money. Like
while you're still working, your software, was it engineering? I don't even know what job you were doing.
I was a senior engineer, so just dealing with IT systems and stuff.
Yeah, okay.
So
all right.
Pretty much, the business was able just to sustain itself, in that any money that came in was to buy new stock, right? It was like, okay, and then the bank account was just depleted again. I was like, and then I like tried all sorts of things. I was like, oh, maybe we need to change our strategy. Let's do this vision of just being like the cheapest glasses there. So play the volume game, right? Because we're selling them for $30. Okay. And then I was like, okay, we'll drop it to $15 for a pair of these things. And then now they're going to fly off the shelves, right? And then we start selling less, right? And I was like, oh, what the hell is going on? So put the prices back up. And then I was like, what about if we create a set of glasses that don't look ugly? I was like, maybe that's it. Maybe people don't want these big ugly things on there. So we kind of went back to our manufacturers and we started looking around. We're like, well, let's do some like Ray-Ban glasses and then put our lenses in them, and we'll start selling them. And we called them Blue Bands. That was the name of them.
There you go. Did you get in trouble for that?
No, we didn't get in trouble for that.
Okay.
Yeah, we're fine. So we started. So then we kind of released the new Blue Bands, and let's do these at a different price point. Okay, these are going to be like $70 for a pair of glasses because they're cool. They look cool, right?
Yeah. And
we started to get a little bit of traction there. People were like, oh well, you can actually look stylish and glasses, right? So that was kind of like a little bit of a press forward in it all, and I was like, cool. But then they cost way more, and then so we're kind of getting a bit more money in the bank account, but then we're kind of just having to push it back in. So I guess what I should say is I only put in an initial investment of 10 grand into this business to get it all started up, and then I've never reinvested any more money into the business. It's sustained itself. So my theory was I'm never going to pull a salary because I'm earning money here on my day job. This is like the hedge, right? Like if I can leave all the money in the business and it can sustain itself and I can grow it, and I'm not just going to try and pull money the instant it makes money. I was like, well, let's just leave it in there and just kind of let it like incubate on itself, right? Whilst I'll de-risk the situation because I've got a good like 6-figure paying job over here. That's all good, and this is like the hobby sort of thing. Then fast forward to 2019. So that whole time just did nothing really. We're just sitting there like honestly a couple $1,000s in the bank account. And I was kind of getting to the point I was like, do I just give up on this thing? Because it's just, I don't know, these little niggly stresses coming up, and I was like, I'm earning good money like doing what I'm doing, right? And what I started seeing was obviously the digital age started to move more. We had iPhone 3, 4, 5 sort of coming out. And then I saw one thing that kind of stuck out to me was Apple actually recognized and agreed that blue light was a problem because they released night shift mode on the Apple device. And I was like, okay, this is... And people, because we used to sell screen protectors for the phone, right, to reduce it. And I was looking at it two ways. I was like, oh, this is actually going to destroy our business because we can't sell those anymore. Or it's almost validation of our business, right? I was like, This is validation. Mainstream is like validating why are they putting now technology into their devices to reduce down the blue light, because they're almost like acknowledging there's a problem. And at that same time, we had been the only ones in the world doing this, right? That I could really see. The word blue light glasses did not exist back then. You could not find anything. So, but what we started to see is when people started catching on to this, so we started seeing some competitors pop up into the field. And I was like, shit, they're doing a way better job than me. I was like, and I was like, they're getting traction. I was like, hold on, there is something here. Maybe I don't need to close this business down. Like, maybe I can use our first mover advantage now and try and do better than what they're doing. So what we found was a couple of competitors came into the space, and they did a whole suite of like awesome looking frames and stuff. And I was like, oh, well, and they're killing it, right? And I was like, we need to do that. So we got to a point, this is quite interesting, and this is where the name Blue Blockers had to go away. So 2019 hit, midway through, kind of had that idea, hey, we don't have to shut this down, I could do something here, I could spend my weekends, and not 4 hours a day, but maybe bump it up to 20 hours a week and try and make something work. And then we get slapped with a cease and desist from the US, from a called Blue Blocker Corporation. And I was like, who the fuck are these guys? I'm like, look, I'm just like this little like guy that's selling some safety glasses. And there's a company in the US called Blue Blocker, and they sell sunglasses, right? They've sold them since the 80s. So they used to sell them on TV, and they've got the trademark Blue Blocker in Australia. I didn't know that. I was like, yeah, we're just selling blue. So I was like, oh, we're fucked. We're destroyed. I have no money to do anything with this. Probably time to, close the business up and just move on. And but then I was like, I had that, there's definitely something here. So what I did is I bypassed it was some massive lawyer firm in the US, right? I was like, I'm going to bypass that. I'm going to find who owns this company. Yeah. I'm going to contact them and be reasonable about it. Look, man, sorry, like I did not mean to step on anything. It's a complete thing. Look, I'm just... I'm passionate about this. I really wanted to make a difference in the world and stuff. Wow. So pretty much found him, emailed him. The guy's like 85, so he's like a retired guy who killed it back in the day on TV advertising, right? Yeah. Okay. And so we came to an agreement where he's cool. Like, I get you. Appreciate you for reaching out. Appreciate you don't want to get lawyers involved and you can't afford that. So we came to an agreement that we would change our name. We would pay him a licensing fee in that transition period where we were still Blue Blockers, and we would rebrand all of our product and stuff. And so that was cool. We had 3 months, and I was like, well, I don't know what to call ourselves. I was like, what sounds similar to Blue Blockers? I was like, I was just like, all right, we're just going to be descriptive as hell. We're just going to change to that. So I had moved back to New Zealand at this point, had to fly back over to Sydney and get all our stock out of the 3PL and rebrand it all, remove all the packaging, so I had to order all new packaging. I was sitting there for 3 days straight, taking annual leave and just like changing labels on everything. Yeah. And at that point I was like, what am I doing, Dan? What are you doing? And
you crazy person.
Yeah, so, and then it was that kind of motivated me. I was like, you know what, you've done all this, you've rebranded, you've done this, it's time to like go full noise. Stop fucking around. Stop, because there's self-doubt, right? You're like, cause I keep saying, it's just time to shut it down and move on. It was just a bit of a passion project, right? Totally. And then I was like, nah, this is it. This is the time to go in. So I released a whole suite of more glasses. So I brought out a whole suite of all the different styles, kind of to match what our competitors were doing and getting traction. And then I had a light bulb moment, literally a light bulb moment, where I was like, hold on a minute. We're using glasses, right, to mitigate and block light from the lights and the screens, but mainly all our lights in our home. I was like, that's like a band-aid problem. I was like, what happens if the lights themselves never emitted the harmful spectrums? I was like, let's do a pivot here. I was like, I'm gonna create a light bulb. I'm gonna create lighting. No one's doing it. No one's talking about it. I got real excited. So I pretty much created a light bulb that you could swap out and put in.
How the heck do you create a light bulb? What?
You go and you find lighting manufacturers and you talk to them and you're like, I want to do this. And I was like, trying to like work with lighting engineers. So I just went full in on it. I was like, this is going to differentiate me, because all the copycats and everything was coming into the industry, right? They're like, it was starting to gain traction.
Yeah.
Blue light glasses were coming. In 2019, when we hit 2020, they really became a thing. You know, once the pandemic hit, everyone's working from home. There's like drop shippers everywhere. It's like blue light glasses everywhere.
Yeah.
And so this was already starting to happen. And I was like, we were starting to like, whilst we gained traction by having our whole suite of glasses, it's like now we're competing with like drop shippers on Amazon, right? Selling junk that doesn't even do anything. So I was like, we need to really differentiate our brand as being like science-based. Here's all the research, and being like experts in the field, not these guys that are just randomly selling these products for money. It was like, we want to educate and we want to sell products to solve a solution.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, light bulbs are it. Like, this is where we're gonna make it. So eventually we developed, I was testing prototypes in the home. Exactly. And I was like,
Light
so
bulb.
we released them, and that was really when we started to gain traction, right? We kind of released them, people started buying a few, but what we noticed suddenly was like, you know, I sell you a pair of glasses, I could sell you 2 pairs probably max. I could sell you a pair for daytime and a pair for nighttime. But then you're kind of done. Like, you're like, well, what else am I buying from you? You know, your glasses are going to last me for a number of years. But light bulbs, well, you come back, you buy one, you test it out, and you're like, these are awesome. I want another 4 for that room. Oh, those are awesome. I want another 4 for that room. And now I want to do my whole house. I want 20 of them, right?
Wow.
And we've developed the product in a way that we haven't like I say, we never want to reinvent the wheel. We want to take an existing product that exists in the marketplace and slightly alter it. Because if you try and create something from scratch, like tooling, R&D, all that, we bypassed all that. I went to a manufacturer that already creates the product, and I said, hey, I want your product, but I need to change these things in it because, so a slight increase in cost to do it. They're like, oh, okay, yeah, well, cool, you're not ordering like 20,000 units, you only want 500, and you want us to make these weird tweaks to it, which they couldn't understand. But then what that allows me to do is take that product and increase the markup significantly on it, because I'm not selling you a light bulb, I'm selling you a solution here. I'm selling you better sleep, I'm selling you a better life, I'm selling you better energy, I'm selling you all these. I'm not selling you the light bulb. So I can put a bigger price on that. So now I'm in a position where you could go down to Bunnings, right, and buy the same physical bulb, not the internal workings, for, I don't know, like $10, right? But I can sell that for 30. So we've got now a really high margin product that we didn't have to like create from scratch. We had to alter it. And there's a lot that went into that, right? But
how long do they last as well? Do you mind if I ask? Because
these
light bulbs, you got to replace them. Is it the same kind of concept, or?
Well, the idea is they're based on LED technology, so they do last. They're long life bulbs as well. So,
Okay.
so that.
But the reality is, they do need to get replaced, which is a good e-commerce thing as well.
Yep.
That's what people are always after as well. A product that somewhat breaks but doesn't break. Like you want to like
eventually it's going to be replaced. Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
And something that you buy and you like, and you're like, I want more and more of it, because there's so many places you can fit them out in your house, right? So at that point, I was like, oh, we have a business now. Like, we are growing, we are scaling. Again, I'm still working at 40 hours a week in my job. And then it's getting to the point, I'm like, I don't know how I'm doing this. I'm just like 5 p.m. at night, I'm like answering all the support emails and like trying to work out any 3PL issues and stuff. And then I was like, well, we can do even more. I was like, we don't just need to do light bulbs, right? What about all these other like lighting products and stuff that we can do? So we decided we'd try and create like a little book light, little portable little unit, right? And I was like, this is like, because like I used to go traveling, right? When I go away for the weekend, I'd literally pack all these light bulbs in my suitcase, go into the Airbnb, like change all the light bulbs out, put my ones in. I was like, this is stupid. I'm like, why don't we create like portable travel lighting so you can take all this.
Hang on, what did you do? You went to the Airbnb and changed the light bulbs while you were there, and then you take them out again at the end. That's
if I remembered, like
you need like a travel case.
Like I was a health nut, right? Like I was like full in on this, so because of what it did for my own health, right? So so then we're kind of like in 2020, right? And then I'm okay. I think I can quit my job. I think we're going to make something here. I think we're going to get it there. So I set myself a goal, and I was like, okay. I said to my wife, and it was just me working. She's a nurse working at doctor's practice and stuff. I was like, if I can sustain, I think I said to her, I was like, if I can do $30,000 in sales a month for 6 months straight, I'll quit my job. That was the deal. Like I had committed to that, and I was like, that I'll never do that. I won't do it. Like I've almost set this impossible goal. But we had month 1, 30,000. It was like month 2, month 3. I was like, holy shit, we're doing this. Like we're doing this. And like when the pandemic hit, it actually spiked our business even further, right? Because everyone's at home buying shit online. E-commerce is booming now.
Yeah.
And like our product is literally what people need. They're on screens more, like, and all this. The glasses started booming, and I'm like, okay, so we pretty much, so I reached that target, right? We did, I think it might have, we did well over that by the 6 month mark of those 6 months. So I was like, but it was really hard for me to leave my job, right? I'm like earning like 150 grand a year in a senior position, built up this awesome career. I've jumped around a few different companies at this point, in a really good company, and I was like, it's now or never sort of thing. And I was nervous as hell about doing this, and so I quit the job in late 2020. And then now I'm in it full time, so I'm just deep into learning, because I guess at this point I don't really think I would be much about ecom, right? I was just like just slapping things together, and I was like, time to learn it. Okay, let's learn about email marketing. Okay, let's deploy solid as email marketing. So just deep into learning Klaviyo and stuff and deploying all that. I hadn't really run any ads at this point. Spent a little bit on Google Ads.
So you're doing $30,000 a month without ads?
Yeah.
Where's traffic coming from?
Primarily organic. Just
what?
So because that kind of, people were really searching for this stuff now. Like blue light glasses became a big. So in Australia, back then, I think the search volume was sitting around 20,000 searches a month for blue light glasses. And so, sorry, I should actually backtrack. My first thing I thought I needed to do was like, I need SEO. I heard about SEO, and I was like, oh, this is what we need to do. And I was like, I'm not paying for people to come to my website. I was like, nah, I'm not investing in this like Google Ads and Facebook shit. Nah, not for me. Like, I kind of don't really like social media anyway. So I was like, why would I give them my money?
That's awesome.
So I started to learn about SEO, and I was like, okay. So I've made a few mistakes and worked with some SEO agencies who just, stole my money, sort of thing. Essentially, didn't do any work. But then I was like, wow, I'm gonna learn this, right? And I was like, cool, we're gonna start blogging. So I'm gonna find blog writers, and we're gonna write a blog a week onto the website, 3,000 words, looking at long tail keywords that meet our niche. And we're going to deploy that strategy. And I was like, the strategy here is Google's going to look at our site and see that we're expanding content on the site, great signals, and I'm going to start to look at all our product pages, and all the on-page stuff wasn't optimized. So I was like, cool, let's get all the keywords into the pages and stuff. And then I was like, we need to do link building. And I made some massive mistakes there. Again, went on to Fiverr and bought 1,000 links for $20 and all that sort of shit. And I immediately regretted that and undid that and learnt more. So I really just started to learn SEO. I was like, and then we found essentially what I've deployed for the last 3 years is solid monthly link building, but acquiring them at cost. Like we use an agency that does link building that most SEO agencies buy off wholesale. So I'm an agency, and I'm buying wholesale links off them essentially.
Nice.
So I'm buying like 6 like real high DA links a month, and that's just starting to really build our authority. And so I've kind of deployed that all the way through as we've scaled.
Can you talk about that? So I'm a novice. I'm not an SEO expert in any way. Right. I believe it's magic, and it works for some stores and it doesn't work for others. But it obviously does work. I just don't understand. I know the basics of it, but when you say, okay, I'm buying links, what does that actually look like? Where is the link coming from?
So we're using like a proper, respectable link building agency. Again, we're not using dodgy like Fiverr or Upwork guys. So they're going out there and they're going off and looking. So they're pretty much going and looking at other websites that have good authority, have good traffic, and probably already have blog posts that are on there. And they're going, hey, can we pay to have a link insertion in that existing blog post?
Okay. And what is the link normally? Is it like a referral? They put your business name and a link back to your website.
Yeah, well, normally we would want to use some anchor text that's like relevant. So we might link, like within their blog post, it might say the word blue light glasses, right? So we'd be like, we want to hyperlink that back to our website. And so that's a strong signal essentially that Google uses that to work out authorities of domain. So if a high authority domain is linking into our domain, it passes authority over to our domain. Okay. So we were just really trying to build up an domain authority, right? And kind of like when you look at domain authority, for example, Facebook and Google are like at 100. So 100 is the max you can be. A new domain is like nothing, it's 0, right? Yeah. Today, our domains, most of them will sit at about 45 to 50. So that's deemed really high authority. Okay. So we're constantly getting approached by these link building companies wanting to pay us to put links on our blogs, but we won't, because we want to keep the authority within our own site. We don't want to pass it on. So that's kind of, So it's always a long game with SEO, right? We've invested in SEO for over 3 years now. Spend a lot of money on that and spend a lot of time, and there's never instant results, right? You've got to continue to do it and kind of trust the plan, really, in a way. Like, it took us a good 6 to 12 months before we really started seeing traction.
You've got a product that nails SEO too. It's perfect for SEO. It's solving a specific solution. Yeah.
So the first thing you've got to do is make sure people are searching for it, right? Is there search volume? And that's
If I'm selling candles, and it's the candles, like, no one's going to be searching for those specific candles. They've got to solve a proper problem for SEO to kind of work, I'm guessing.
Yeah, and if you've got this real niche product that people don't even know about, SEO is not really for you, right? And neither is Google, because if people don't know to search for it, well then they're not searching for it, so there's nothing to really win in that game. But I guess we were quite lucky, and the niche itself we're in has exploded, right? And I got in before it exploded, and now it's exploded, and we already had Google already knew about our site and knew we had content on there, so we naturally, with very little work, the age of our site and stuff, we just started rising up with it. We kind of rode the wave, I guess, in a way. Like, we're sitting at the top as it's all increased. So even when we look at today, and this is a crazy thing, and we can talk about like different regions and stuff, but like in the US alone, the term blue light glasses is searched close to 300,000 times a month. So you can see I want to be on page 1 for that. I don't want to be on page 1. I want to be in the top 3 positions. Because stats from Google say that 80% of the traffic goes to the top 3 positions. So
do you pay? Do you pay now for positions as well, sponsored?
So we're pretty heavy on Google Ads now as well. Yeah. So, and that's sort of a... So if we kind of on my journey, right?
Yeah,
so
keep going. Sorry, I interrupted you. I was
this is good. This is good. This is good. So obviously SEO is where I started. That kind of, and plus that kind of just, that's how we were generating this 30K a month consistently. Then I started just toying around with a bit of, email marketing, just on MailChimp, sending a bit of stuff out there. Never running any sales, but we were growing. Right? I was like, this is awesome. And then I was like, okay, because I was in New Zealand and all our sales were in Australia, we kind of had the .co.nz domain and it would never do any sales. And I was like, why is it not working, but it's working in Australia? And what I found at the time, obviously Shopify has come a long way since then, but you would add in your domains and you would set a primary domain, right, which was our .com.au, but anything that wasn't a primary domain was not indexed by Google. So if you couldn't find us. So I was like, well, what happens if I'll split off. I'm going to create a new Shopify store for New Zealand. And I'm just going to duplicate everything over and fire it up. And then that will be the primary domain, the .co.nz on the New Zealand Shopify store. And like the instant I did that, I'm like, holy shit, we're just getting New Zealand sales. Like, just out of it, just started pumping. And I was like, okay, and then I was like, now let's deploy SEO on the New Zealand domain and the Australian domain separately and run them separately. And build up all our authority there as well. And I was like, hold on a minute, what if I take this model and now go to a bigger region? I was like, let's go to the UK. I don't know, I was just like, the UK is it. Like, I was like, I don't want to go to the US. I was like, my view was, I'm not ready for the US. Like, the US is a big market. and our products, like all our electrical and lighting stuff, wasn't compatible with the US market, different voltages and different requirements around certification. I was like, but I can take all my lighting and it's all compatible into the UK. And I was like, well, the business has now got a bit of money, so we're earning that 30k a month. I'm not spending a cent of it, I'm just keeping it in the business. I was like, let's take it, we've got quite a bit of money in the bank account now. I'm going to order a whole bunch of stock. I'm going to actually double our stock. I'm going to get a 3PL in the UK, I'm going to send it all there, and I'm going to start up replicate a UK website and deploy all the SEO techniques onto our UK site for the .co.uk, right? And I was like, and I looked at the search volume there, and I'm like, so the search volume for blue light glasses in Australia was like 20 to 30,000. It was like 60 to 70,000 in the UK. I was like, well, if we can do that kind of money here, I should be able to do well over double in the UK, right? This is my theory. I was like, let's do it. So the issue was, right in the middle of a pandemic, like shipping is just a diabolical, and you throw Brexit into the mix, right? So we put Brexit in the mix of this. We had stock that was it took a lot to resolve to get all our stock into the UK, because it used to go via the shipping lanes would go into, you'd ship into Europe and then they'd truck it over, so it got stuck in the middle of that. But eventually we got that up, and sort of same thing, we're like, cool, now we're kind of like growing in the UK, right? I'm like, cool, now we're at $1,000 a day. I'm like, now we're like, and I'm kind of like making quite a good headway here, and because now I'm working in the business full time, I'm like, cool, I can kind of deal with all this, like we can kind of, so I've got 3 Shopify stores running, and I'm like, okay, this is getting a little bit much, but we're cool. We've got 2 3PLs plus in New Zealand, I'm just shipping all the stuff myself, so we kind of just started like getting stuff into our garage.
This is awesome.
And then at the so I'm continuously developing the product, so my other kind of thing was like, you always want to be able to have new product, right? New ideas, and because you can keep selling, you get loyal fans that just buy everything, right? So it kind of was like, I want to kind of be releasing a product like at least one every 2 to 3 months, right? Consistently. Wow. And that's what we've continued to do. So if you look at our store today, we've got 170 SKUs on our website. So
that's insane.
And we've just followed that method of just continuously to release cool shit.
Why do you think this works? So like a lot of brands, they're just so focused on like sale one, right? And I'd love for you to speak into this, because you talked about email game. So you've got your SEO that's bringing in traffic on the front end. I'm sure you got a lot of front end traffic now from different sources, but you sorted your SEO game. You figured out, okay, we can turn that on. Now talk to me about the strategy that you've built out behind that. You've got your email. What else? What do we got going?
Yeah, so that's when I was like, okay, because I didn't really have a strategy at that point. Okay. Like SEO and stuff, but then I did. I was like, oh, email, holy shit, we should be making like 30% of our revenue from email, right? And
totally.
So, and I sort of was still on MailChimp at this point, right? And then I was like, I heard sort of people talking about this Klaviyo thing. So I was like, oh, that's expensive. No, fuck that. I'm not paying for that.
It is expensive when you don't see the return on investment, though. But then once you start seeing that, you're like, oh, okay.
When you don't understand the value in it, right? And so then I started like looking into it more, and I was like, oh yeah, this is awesome. Let's go full on into Klaviyo. So we hired an agency to build out all our flows like quite extensively. I was like, we've got a unique business in that I want to be able to email market to you automatic through automation if you buy this. So if you come to us or you buy some nighttime glasses but don't buy the light bulbs, I want to come back to you and cross-sell you and explain to you why you need the light bulbs and why you've got these but you need this, and I want to deploy a whole bunch of different variations of this product is bought but this one isn't. So we need to educate you through email, through a series of different emails, and then put an offer on the tail end of that to make you want to buy another thing from us, right? So we deployed all the main flows, all your top like browse abandonments, cart abandonments, and welcome series. So the welcome series was huge for us. I was like, we've got this real unique brand story, right, about my story, and like someone signs up, to get their 10% off. I'm like, this is the opportunity to tell the story of who we are, where we came from, why we exist. So now our current like welcome flow goes, you come into our welcome flow, you'll be in there for 30 days, and you'll get a series of emails. It starts off once a day, then it increases out, but it's really trying to not just be like, have 10% off and buy our shit. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, here's the offer, but who are we and what do we do and what products do we have, and then talk about kind of other customers and experiences and things, just to introduce people to our brand.
You talked about your welcome flow being like one a day for a period, and then it spreads out. So I talk to brands all the time that are scared as hell to send one email a month. They're like, I don't want to spam my customers. And I'm like, mate, you need to get more creative. You need to start believing in your product and start telling the story. People buy stories and they buy the benefits and the solutions that you've got. If you don't believe in your product, don't send any emails. That's completely fine. You are probably just going to spam sales. But what you talked about is the perfect way to do it. I love that.
Yep. And I used to be the same. I was like, I don't want to get anyone unsubscribing from us. And you just need to break through that mentality and go, if you're adding value, then there's no problem. And if someone unsubscribes, they were never going to, you didn't want them on your list anyway because you're paying for them. And if they don't see the value in what you're giving them, then that's fine, sort of thing, And that was another big thing. I was like, a big shift on how we changed our website was like, I need to be the face of the brand and tell my story, because people buy from people, right? So, and that's a big thing. And a huge thing in our post-purchase flow, right, is so you get thank you for your order sort of thing. And then the next day, a personal email from me, plain text, comes out and like, hey, like, thank you so much for your purchase. Congratulate you on taking this first step to like better your health, and like just a real personal email. And
brilliant.
I still have that running today, right? And it's actually my email I get those responses, right? And people think, some people a little bit gullible, genuinely think I've hand typed them an email, but it's such a personal. You're creating like personality, and you're not just this brand that people are buying off. Like
it keeps you in touch as a founder as well, right?
Yeah,
like we can
I love it.
Yeah, we can get disconnected
because we've scaled to very large, and every day I've got those in my inbox. But it keeps me, it keeps me in touch with what's going on in the business more, because as I've got busy, I've had to disconnect myself a lot from the daily operations of customer support. But then you get these emails that either come in and make you feel like, holy shit, I love what I'm doing because I'm really truly making a difference in people's lives. But then also, you might get the odd complaint or something. You're like, holy shit, okay, well I need to work out like how we can improve ourselves. And people love it though. They're like, you seem like a really big brand, which we are revenue wise, but hey, I can still reach out to the founder and he'll reply.
So
I don't know how many like brands would actually genuinely do that anymore, and like people love it. And I'm like, well, it's a combination of all these things, right? Where like we're creating a personal relationship with them as opposed to a transactional relationship in a way. That's what I'm trying to do as we've evolved the brand, and trying to keep that value in place as we scale.
So give us a little bit of insight of like how many orders you're doing in a month at the moment. Because so brands are normally scared to do what you're saying. They're like, I don't want to put my name to it. I'm a founder. It's just going to be ridiculous. I'm going to get inundated and I won't be able to respond. It'll be a horrible experience. But how many orders are you still doing? And you are so personable.
Yeah, so we did 4,500 orders last month.
Yeah, that's crazy. So you haven't personally messaged 4,500 people. No, but you're building community and you're putting your face to all of this. I love it.
Yeah, and so another thing we do in our post-purchase is, right, the first time you purchase, you get that email. The second time, you get a different email from me. The third time, you get another email from me. The fourth time, right up to 6 purchases, it's a customized email. Like, obviously, the more they buy, it's, holy shit, thank you so much. You're so loyal. Like, really appreciate it. And then what I also do is go, hey, I wouldn't mind if you could jump onto our Google My Business page and leave a review. And so what we've been trying to do is build reviews on Trustpilot and things like just with me personally, which is a massive thing, right? We're trying to, so now when people search us, we've got like 5,000 reviews on our website, but then I want to get all these other platforms, and I'm using the post-purchase, and I'm using the, hey, can you do me a favor? We've been in touch the last 4 times you've ordered from me. Do you mind just like leaving a review about your experience? And we know they're going to leave a good one because they've ordered from us 4 times.
Yeah.
And now the founder's also emailed me 4 times, and he's emailed me again and just asked if I can do a review. And they're like, sure. This
is crazy, man. I love it. So you got your 30-day email sequence.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little about. So we've got the SEO sorted. This is your story so far. You got your SEO sorted. You've just expanded to the UK. You're starting to figure out the back end, building products every couple of months. Now where we're at.
So where we're at now is, so email's humming. We're sort of getting 40 to 50%, I'd say attributed revenue through that, because Klaviyo likes to inflate, but that's a really good metric just to know that you're doing well on email.
That's
Then
awesome.
we started learning, I guess, in 2021, I started learning the power of sales. I was like, okay, like we've never really run sales and stuff. And I was like, Black Friday was starting to get a bit of traction around, everyone's talking. So I was like, how about we deploy a strategy this year? Every 3 months we should be doing some form of a promotion sort of thing. And that really started to explode things. We're starting to build up all these customers, and then suddenly we've never run sales, right? So we're just like, hey, like here's like a Black Friday sale, 25% off site wide, and it's been ballistic, right? And we're like, holy shit, there's real power in here, but we need to be careful that we don't become this brand that's just like a discount brand, right? We can't just be like 25% off site wide all the time. So we've kind of continued to evolve how we can be adding value, but not taking away from our brand so much. We're not training our customers to be on sale, but we see the value in doing that and leaning into sale periods like Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and just being part of that wave and riding it. And
people expect it now. It's not like you're completely destroying your brand by participating in what everyone else is already doing.
Yeah, and then just using what we're trying to do is create some key peaks during the year to spike our revenue up, which has been cool. And I guess this is the interesting part. I kind of started to being like, okay, we need to get into Facebook. Like, we need to do it. Google Ads was on the scene at this point. I was running it myself. I kind of got in there, learned it, was spending a bit of money in there. I think we got up to spending about $9,000 to $10,000 a month in Google Ads. And I was like, cool, running that. But I was like, I was so fixated, and this is, talk about why this is probably the wrong move for us. I was like, Google was working for us, right? But I was like, oh no, I need Facebook. I need this. And I just parked Google, and I was like, fixated on like, we need Facebook to work. And so this is when we started going down the route of looking at agencies. And we went through, in the last 2.5 years, we've probably worked with about 7 different agencies with Facebook.
Wow.
And never made it work, ever.
Wow.
We spend very little money on Facebook. But I think I got so fixated on we have to make it work right versus what's working in our business, why don't we double down on that? And Facebook, I think for our niche, it's a hard one to crack. And I think it is possible, and it is in our strategy to make it work. But for an agency to come in who knows nothing about our business, kind of knows what these things are, but doesn't really know our uniqueness about what our product is, and just wants to run ads, right? And they don't work. People have like, oh yeah, no, those blue light glasses were a thing, back at 2020, and they're just coming across like that, these ads, right? And it just continue to flop every time. We kind of bounce. We'd do 3 to 4 months with an agency, spend horrendous retainer fees, and never really spend much on the ads, and be like, well, if I look at the numbers from a business point of view, I've got to bail on it. I'm like, we've just wasted like 40, 50 grand and not made any money. But then I was like, oh, it's the agency. So I was like, I need to try another agency. And then eventually I'm like, there's a pattern here. It just doesn't work, right? So I was like, well, and I still to this day believe it can work, but I believe we need to have someone. So like, as you alluded to earlier, we've never had any staff. We've never had a marketing team. We've never had anything. We haven't had anyone internally to really go, who's our customer, and work with the agency to be like, this is what you need to do. Like, this is the way, this is the angle, this is the type of content we want. So that's why I don't believe it's ever worked for us. But I kind of was like, well, hold on a minute. It hasn't worked for us. Why don't we lean into what is working for us and stop trying to overcomplicate it? Because in my mind, I keep getting fixated by looking at what all the other e-com brands are doing. They're all spending shitloads of money on Facebook ads. I was like, I've got to spend money on Facebook ads to be successful. So I'm having this discussion in my mind when we're doing about 200k a month. We're doing 200k a month, and I'm like, but I want to be doing 400k a month. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to do it with Facebook ads. I was like, that is the way forward, because that's how all the 10-figure brands are spending shitloads of money on Facebook ads and stuff. And 8-figure brands, 10 figures. Well, surely they are too. But so after I kind of decided, okay, well, let's lean into what's working. Well, Google Ads is working. Do I have the time to scale that significantly? No, I don't. So let's lean into an agency that is just experts at ecom Google Ads.
Okay.
So I found an agency that just does ecom.
Do you mind telling us?
Yeah, so he's based in the UK. So they're small, very small agency. So they've only got, so you work directly with, not the owner, but he's got, I think, he's 5 people.
Close team.
And
yep.
Yeah, so his close team, you work directly with one specialist, and he only has 4 clients.
Okay.
So you're not in this big mix of
Yeah.
30 people that they just don't have time to spend on the brand. So the agency is called Big Flare. Big shout out to them. They're really good.
Yeah, awesome.
And so we started with Big Flare in mid last year. They took over the account, spending like 8 to 10 grand a month, and they've managed to continue to pretty much. I was just like, we want to scale this. Like, I just want to scale it. So obviously ran all the numbers to go, well, here's what we can. Here's our break even. Here's where we want to make profit. So we know what our ROAS targets are. This is at the time that literally the month they took it over, Performance Max just sort of came on the scene, right? So they're like, well, here's the opportunity. We want to go hard and double down on Performance Max for you. And so in that time, so from there to now, I think we spent about 100 grand a month on Google Ads.
That's awesome. Wow.
And we've maintained that kind of that return on spend the whole time. And so that's why, and like a big learning for me was like you had this in front of you the whole time, but you got so fixated on you had to make another channel work, which you couldn't make work, but you had a channel that was working. Why did you not just make that work? So I guess as a strategy point now, right, I'm like, we're going to continue to make Google work until the ceiling gets hit, because there is a ceiling with Google, right? There's only so many people searching for our products.
There's a lot of people searching that. And you've created a new category, which is very interesting. Is that search volume growing too, the light thing? Or is that more of an educational, like there's a bit of a different kind of approach to that because you've got to educate people?
Yeah, so all the volume of search is mainly through the glasses because the search volume is there, but then they know they come to the website, right? And they're like, I was searching for glasses, but I understand the problem and I understand the solution. Holy shit, there's lighting. I didn't even know that existed. So the volume of search isn't really there for the lighting stuff, but as soon as they land on the site, then they see everything and they see all our content and they understand, and that's where we get them. If they only buy the glasses the first time, well, they're going to get an email from us at some point about the lighting.
For sure.
And so the volume of search for us is moving into the US market was kind of where it's essentially allowed us to double our business again. So in like August, September last year, by this stage my wife had left her job and she had joined the business. So from a team point of view, we tried to do VAs, right? So earlier on in the game, I was by myself and everyone was like, you've got to get a VA. VAs are like the way to go to the Philippines. And it didn't work, hey? They didn't, like, because you know how I talked about I'm trying to create this brand with this personal touch and we really want to help people and they should be able to reach. That doesn't work with a VA, right? They need the script and they need this is the process and follow this and do this, but it didn't work when someone reached out and they were like, hey, like I've got this problem and what should I be doing, sort of thing. And so I probably went through about 3 or 4 VAs and I was like, oh, this doesn't work. Because I just I've always have seen customer support as the most critical function in our business, right? It's a touch point. It's going to get people to come back again. They're going to have a great experience. They're going to tell their friends, and it's going to create, this effect of just compiling on people loving us and the experience they had with us. So at that point, I convinced my wife to leave her job and take over the customer support from me because I was doing everything still.
Yeah, far out, man.
So she came in and she was probably working about half a day a week to cover it all, which was actually, I was like, that's actually pretty cool that we're, at this point we're 200k a month and she's working half a day a week and kind of managing it all. So that gave me a little bit of capacity to start looking at things again. I was like, hey, why don't we like create a 4th Shopify store now? Let's just do it. Like, I'm the visionary, right? I don't really care about like how much work it creates on the back end of it. So in September we created the 4th Shopify store. I didn't have the .com domain, which was the problem. I was like, that's kind of holding us back, right? I was like, I don't have .com for our brand name and I need it to go to the US. But I managed to acquire it, so it just took a little bit of...
How much? Will you tell us? Or no?
Yeah. Very cheap, actually. So I managed to... So it was a competitor that owned it in the US. Wow. But we just used some interesting tactics to get it that didn't look like it was us obtaining it. So I got it for $4,000.
No way. That's sick. Well done, man.
So as soon as I got that, then we pushed the site live in the US.
They would have been
And I was
spewing. They'd be like, what? No.
Yeah, I know. I was actually pretty stoked with that because I was like, oh, we're gonna pay like probably 20 to 40 grand for it.
Yeah. If they knew it was you, they're like, oh,
Yeah.
this guy.
Yeah.
It's a simple search. They know they can make a quick 20 here.
Yeah. And so we got the US live, and I was like, this is gonna be. And I was like, let's do the same strategy, right? The SEO, let's get all that. I was like, this is gonna be an interesting one. I was like, I didn't expect. I was like, this is gonna take. It's going to be hard, right? Because the US is a competitive market. I was like, there's all this search volume, but there's all these people and competitors and stuff. I was like, it's just going to be quite hard to get this off the ground. So we kind of started it up, and I was like, well, we're not really going to make any money through organic to start with. A .com it's only just ever in its infancy started receiving traffic, doesn't have any history. I'm going to deploy all our blogs are going to instantly come across and stuff like that. Heaps of content's going to start creating, but we need sales. So well, let's run Performance Max, right? Let's just run some ads.
Okay.
And that gained traction very quickly. So we started gaining traction on ads over there very quickly. And I was like, oh, I haven't really worked out how we're going to even ship orders to the US yet. We were literally we had our fourth Shopify store. We were literally like manually creating labels here in New Zealand. And I was like, it was like 2 or 3 orders a day to start with. My wife said, oh, you can manage that. And then suddenly it was like, oh, now we're doing 20 orders a day there. We can't. So we very quickly moved the orders to Australian 3PL, and they just took care of it. So we still don't have a US warehouse today, and we don't plan on having one at this point.
Okay.
Because we've actually got extremely good rates from Australia into the US. We don't have to pay sales tax into the US because we're not in the US, and the thresholds for sales tax are really high per state.
Oh, wow. So you can be competitive pricing as well if anyone's trying to jump in there.
Yeah. It's really good to go into the US because you can take a hit on your shipping margin. So you don't charge your US customers more on shipping, but you're not paying sales tax there initially anyway. We probably will eventually have to pay sales tax. But at that point, we probably will have a 3PL in the US.
Yeah.
But we've deployed our SEO strategies, and they've worked a lot quicker than the other regions. And the reason I can only put that down to is all our sites link towards each other, right? So all our 3 other ones, they're all kind of passing authority to each other. Yeah, so right. Google's instantly said, oh yeah, we know who Block Blue Light is. They've got this UK store, they've got this New Zealand, they've got this Australian. Oh, now they've got a .com and they've regionalized it to the US, and it's got all this content, and it's got all this, and they're building links. So within 2 months, we're like ranking for all these keywords, massive volume of search. So into today, like our biggest region for customer acquisition is now the US.
Wow, that's
it's
awesome.
It's not our biggest revenue region yet because we don't have many customers there historically. Our email list in Australia is like 30,000, 40,000, close to 40,000 people. Our email list in the US after 5 or 6 months now is sort of sitting at about 5,000. So
that's awesome, man. Well done still. That's epic.
Yeah. So now, as you can imagine, so we brought on the US and all that kind of exploded. That doubled our business again, right? So operationally, haven't really had time to catch up and build a team. And so it's me and my wife still. And she's like, what have you done? What have you created here? We're working like the level of support and everything's just gone, it's up at another layer where it's just not sustainable anymore. So I guess we've come into 2023. We're still growing, but we're just like putting the brakes on a little bit and going, let's build a team, let's get everything structured to fuel the next lot of growth. Which, in hindsight, we should have done that 12 months ago. But it's kind of one of those things where I always self-doubt, right? You're like, oh no, I'm not going to do it. And if you hire all these people in anticipation that you're gonna crack it and you're gonna grow, sort of thing. So I guess that was like the hesitation there until we did it, and I'm like, oh now we really need people and stuff to be in our team to sustain the level we're at. So so where we are now is trying to build a team, building an internal marketing team is my goal now. I kind of decided we just want less reliance on agencies to do everything for us. We want internal capabilities to really, so we've got people that live and breathe our brand, the people that are trying to market it and bring it to the world.
How are you going finding those people?
It's very hard, it's very difficult, because I've also made the decision that the business and the company we build is not remote. we're building an in presence, we're getting space in town to create a great culture and build just that. I really want that vibe of coming to work, everyone's there, and versus hey, you've got a guy over here and you're all just catching up on Zoom sort of thing. So
yeah,
because I made that decision, it's been very difficult to find people because I'm limited geographically to where we are, but we are getting there and we are slowly filling roles. And so I'm hoping that just sort of by the end of this year, we've got a full team and everything's running and we're continuing to grow and scale.
Man, I tell you what, like that is a freaking epic story. It's refreshing to hear a brand that is doing really well this year. It's well done. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, cheers. No, it's been a wild ride, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, coming from marketing world, so direct performance marketing, I came from Facebook ad world. I'd spend 150, 200 grand a month on ads, Facebook ads, not Google ads. I'm a Facebook guy, but I know it is tricky to hire in that space. But I think you're gonna find throughout 2023 things are getting tough elsewhere, and you might find talent is readily available. So if you guys are out there, who knows, like I'm sure you're going to be finding those right people, and the talent's going to be starting to come on the market, I reckon, in the next few months for sure. I just think certainly just the last 12 months it's been interesting. I don't think a lot of people have been wanting to jump or move roles. I'm in a good job and it's been I don't want to they might not get a choice.
The
way things are going for some brands. But man, do you mind if I share some of the juicy stats that you shared with me the other day?
Go for it.
Yeah, awesome. I love how open you are. Like, honestly, thank you for letting us hear this kind of stuff. So last November, with your crazy Black Friday, Cyber Monday promo, you pulled in 1.1 mil in revenue, which is awesome. Last month, March, you did your second biggest month of $860,000 throughout that month. And last month for World Sleep Day, you ran a one-day sale which pulled in 180K in 24 hours. Boom! That would have been awesome, man. You would have just been like,
it was like the milestone. I was like, that was like definitely a milestone to celebrate sort of thing. So.
Oh man, that's awesome. I love how you've been able to stay relevant and you've pivoted along the way, finding ways to stay. You haven't just used the excuse of there's dropshippers coming on the market and there's so much more competition here, but instead what you've done is you've innovated a lot, which is something I'm encouraging a lot of brands now that I'm speaking to. Just like they need to be innovating. You need to be, now is the time where you can shine while other brands are dying and falling off. If you stay innovative, you can actually, there's like a 10x return if you can get through and stay alive. And your brand is definitely a testament to that. Well done, man.
Yeah. And I'd say another thing is, innovate, but look at what other people are doing and don't just do what they're doing. Like, you've got to do something different, right?
Yeah.
Get inspiration, but then be like, okay, how can I do it better, or how can I do it differently as well?
I like to say the words, I said it to the last podcast I guessed as well. I think Steve Jobs said this: steal, don't copy.
Yeah.
You got to steal the idea and make it your own. Make it completely different. And it's your thing. Don't just literally do what they're doing, because you're going to compete with them, and they're first to market. Like they've been doing it. Yeah, you're just copying what they're doing.
And then you're going to sit there and compete on price or other stuff like that. Like, it's, you want to have a product where it's got value, and you're not just, it's not a race to the bottom with your competitor because you have the same product.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, we've pretty much just talked and answered most of the questions that I had actually prepared for today just through your story, which has been epic, man. I love it so much. One thing I did want to just kind of delve into a little bit right now, is there any things in 2023 right now, outside of you're paying for Google ads, you're doing your SEO play, is there anything outside of that, or is it like you're just doubling down on what's working for you in those two spaces? Have you got social media going? Have you got other things that are working? Or
so that's our plan in 2023, is to get Facebook to relook at that.
Yep.
And
you
so
are running ads.
We are running ads. And
yeah. Who's doing that? Is that you?
Me
Personally? Yeah.
Yeah,
you're doing a pretty good job, man.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah. So we've got our marketing guy starting in 2 weeks, right? And
great.
My marketing manager's job is you need to make Facebook ads work for us.
Yep.
We will make it work. It is possible. I know it can. Because I think we're at that point where, I think we can safely bring on another channel now, right?
Yeah.
Before we were just like trying to do everything and nothing was working, right? And it was all, And that's when we focused on one, got that working, and it's at a really good level. Let's look at how we can acquire customers in another channel. And I think, Meta, TikTok, all that sort of stuff, social will be big for us.
You're definitely on the right track with your ads if people want to spy on your store and see what they're doing. When it comes to what's kind of working for other brands, you've got other people talking about your products, not just you. Not just you guys saying, buy, like, look at this problem kind of thing. Although your story is really cool, so you probably could put your story into the mix as well. But one thing I would suggest, so this is just me direct, I have to say something, like, because I come from that world. I'm like, one way for you guys to maybe launch into that is trying to make things work on TikTok. And the way you could do that is by sending your product to creators, because it's so unique. Your light bulb, like literally light bulb moments will happen for some creators. And there's specific creators out there, I'm sure, that could create the content for you almost free. And if it goes, this is a really good way to do it cheaply, like test your content. But if it starts scaling on TikTok, great, pull it, turn it into a Facebook ad, because Facebook ads are where the money is. So that's how I'm actually running ads and approaching things now as well. I see a lot of brands doing that. They're just creating the content there. If it goes viral by itself, maybe you might need to restructure it, put like a call to action on the end, boom, Facebook ad. I guarantee you should be able to crush it there as well.
The key is the content, right? So we need a content machine where we've got creators with doing that. And that's where my resource has been so limited. It's like I don't have time. So that's where when we can build that internal team, so we can go, cool, let's continue to get creators, and then that worked, well, let's just do more of that, right, and double down on it with the content and be constantly testing. And that's why I think like the social channels, it needs that constant testing and iterating and stuff, and that's why we leaned into Google, because I was like, well, I don't have the resource to do that.
I love that you haven't spread yourself thin though. Like you are maxing out that channel, and that's something that's refreshing to hear. It's obvious. I don't normally hear people say I'm tripling down on Google. Awesome. Well done.
One other thing though I will mention that we are looking to do, which we started in late 2022 and will continue this year, is around top of funnel acquisition and not using ad platforms. Because I've kind of been sitting there and going, like ads are more expensive, right? It's getting really hard to make those channels work unless you've got a lot of margin in your products. So we do, and we can make them work, but I'm like, how else can we do it right? And how else can we future-proof ourselves? So I've been leaning into, and also, I should say, is what makes our product unique is me and the knowledge and the education, which is really damn hard to put into a 20-second ad on Facebook, right? Really damn hard. So I was like, well, why don't we use podcasting as a strategy? People love consuming content on podcasts.
Right.
So going on podcasts and being interviewed like we are now, but purely talking about the story behind why I created my health issues, diving into the science on blue light and biology, and being able to people then love it, because I've spent an hour, not a 20-second ad trying to just go by. Actually, I'm not trying to sell you anything on this podcast. I'm just talking about the problem. And so I've probably been on about 40 podcasts to date. And so it's a bit of a longer play as well, right? It's get yourself out into all these different, so look for podcasts that your customers are listening to.
Do you know it's working?
Yep, it's working because we constantly get, I heard your guy on a podcast. Like it's feeding back into the support channels and stuff. I heard him on the podcast. And then we're using obviously affiliate codes and stuff like that to track sales as well. So you can't just be on one I think where the authority comes is you go onto a bunch of podcasts. So this person, your audience is listening to all these podcasts. So they hear you 3 times and they're like, oh, but I trust that person and this guy's been on all of them. So there's the authority piece that comes in. And then, so once I free up more of my time, I'd love to go on. My goal is by the end of this year to have been on 100 podcasts. And just obviously it's quite time consuming. You have to prepare for it. You have to obviously have all the questions and answers, and it's an hour interview. But I think it's a great top of funnel strategy, right? Because what happens is they hear me on a podcast, whatever. So then they research our website, maybe jump onto the website, and then we have some remarketing of Facebook ads, right? So then they're in our mid funnel, and then our mid funnel is humming, and then we're going to eventually convert them. So it's kind of like you yeah, it's not like just ads or just this. It's like if we just did that and no ads, right, it'd be like they might bounce to our website once and then forget about it, and then we've lost them. But we've got them in this. We're now trying to acquire people from the top of the funnel into the middle of the funnel, where we can then hopefully they've listened to me for an hour. I don't need to try and convince them in a 30-second ad about the whole problem. I just need to remind them with some ads about, hey, oh yeah, I remember that interview he did. And yeah, so that's kind of like another play we're trying to make this year as well.
This is like a mini expert course on how to become a authority in your niche. You are a freaking monster at it, man. Well done. Yeah, I have heaps of people like reaching out to me trying to become authorities in their niche. But you've just got unique ways of doing it. Not every brand should be doing it the exact same way that you're doing it, but I love the way that you think and the strategies that you're deploying. It's all about long term. It's not about just the quick wins today. It's actually about the long game. And you also talked about how do we future proof. A lot of people don't think like that.
Yeah. Yep. And I think more importantly now is like for e-com brands is building a brand. As brand is getting so important because like people, all the drop shippers and just these like people now are looking for like brands that they can trust, and like trust is instilled by like different touch points, seeing the brand, seeing the customer reviews, seeing all these different points which builds this authority, and then making it personal. Who's the one thing I always do, this is like the one thing I do whenever I now check out a website for whatever reason, I go to the About Us page straight away. It's like my number one thing is, who are you and why should I even consider buying from you? Because I want to know who I'm buying. That's my number one thing now, is like the About Us page. Tell them the story, who you are and what makes you different, and why I shouldn't buy from that other store, sort of thing. Because it's
Love
just,
it.
Yeah, personal touch I think is big in today's world because of the drop shippers that just can stand up a store in 5 minutes, go onto Alibaba and buy, start drop shipping some generic products.
100%, man. They're everywhere now. So, I want to do something a little bit different. Can I just have a look at your website and we'll just talk through?
Yeah, man.
I don't know. Like you said, you're totally open to constructive criticism.
Absolutely.
This is my game, man. This is my game.
Let's do it.
Awesome. Man, there is so much stuff jam-packed into everything we've already talked about. People are going to get value out of that for sure. But one thing I'll let you know as well is while I'm doing this, obviously it's a podcast as well, so there's no like picture people who are watching home right now. Hello. So I will be pretty quick through this. And I'm just going to be constructive straight away. So what I'll do, I'm just going to share my screen so we can both see it. Honestly, so one of the other reasons why I wanted to talk about your site is because it's actually done really well. You've nailed visual hierarchy, which is something that I normally have to work on when I'm looking at people's websites. It's kind of like, where do I start? Like, I just can't see where I should be going right now. And your store is a little bit of a masterclass in visual hierarchy. So I encourage everyone, if you don't know how to build a website or to make it flow well through to the checkout, his website is killer. Daniel, you've worked on this. And you said you worked on it with someone, didn't you? From Shopify or?
Yeah, so this is actually a relatively new site. It's been up for a few months, but so the developer that did it for me, who was ex-Shopify Plus developer. So, and like, I've learned over the time what works and what converts and best practices. So we've just worked together to really refine it.
Yeah, you've done a great job. You've got people, it's like lifestyle-y. People can see themselves in it. The photos are great. So straight up though, so I would applaud you in the structure, the flow, everything feels good and all of that. And it's easy to read, which is one of the other things I have to pick up a lot on is there's no contrasting colors and things like that. But one thing I would suggest is playing around with the copywriting and making it more you-focused rather than feature-orientated. So a great brand that does this is Obvi. I don't know, have you seen Obvi before?
Yep.
Yeah, Obvi. These guys crush it. When you read through their product page, I'll just explain it. I'll just read some things now. So Obvi is a protein powder company, and I'm not going to read through everything, but everyone should go check them out. They're a masterclass in copywriting. So putting yourself in the shoes. So the obvious choice is their slogan. Benefits of Obvi Super Collagen. So I'll go through some of their benefits. So glowing skin, get selfie ready with a viably radiant complexion. joint support, alleviate joint pain and improve overall flexibility, hair swish your way into every day with thick, beautiful stresses. So one thing they do is when they don't just talk about their features, and a lot of the time I feel like that's kind of where you're going, is you're very direct, which is probably good for SEO, I guess.
I was about to say this has all been off the back of SEO, I guess.
Yeah, so here's my thing. So I'm not an expert in SEO. So I don't know if there's a middle ground to still make this work with SEO. But what I will be doing is I will be listening back through to your story that you just told me just then, and a lot of the language you used, I could grab a snippet and give it to you, but a lot of the language you used maximize your sleep quality, like have a better night's sleep. Instead of making it so feature and direct orientated, I would try and use the words your more and you. That's the easiest way and like the cheat code to doing it. So that's literally it. That's the first thing I would say. The second thing I would say is, are you doing conversion rate optimization on this? Testing things, A/B testing?
We're not doing any A/B testing. Now, the reason we're not doing A/B testing is our traffic is divided out into 4 websites, I guess. So we've always just been like, do we have enough traffic to a single site to really make some meaningful tests?
That's a good question.
Because we did reach out to a CRO agency a while ago, and that was like, oh no, unless you have, I think it was like 10,000 or 20,000 sessions a day or whatever, it's not worth it. And
from past experience, I really think you could benefit from conversion rate optimization because the size of your business, you've nailed all of the basics really well, but I definitely would look at CRO. However, so I've gone through a ton of agencies, and the only one that I rate is Conversion Fanatics. The reason being is because most of all the other ones say what you're saying. They build like this huge strategy, and it's like a 3-month process for results and all these different things.
Yep.
Conversion Fanatics, they test, okay, on the homepage, does this work better or does this work better? It's just really little tests, and they've got 100 that they smash really fast. And I couldn't suggest, definitely check him out, Conversion Fanatics. I can hook you up with one of the, he's now I think he's an ex-owner because he sold the company, but they're legends, and they're super reasonably priced as well. And I genuinely reckon because of the size that you're at now, I don't normally suggest using an agency until you get to the size that you're at now, pretty much. And you could definitely benefit from it. So there's tons of little things. I'm not going to tell you what you should add to your product page because it's all about A/B testing once you get to your size, and you've nailed the basics already. Like me telling you, hey, you should move the reviews up a bit higher. Well, they're up pretty high right now. I don't really know. We probably need to run an A/B test because that could do nothing for your website or it could add value. I have no idea. So you're already doing really well. I just want to encourage people to actually look at the Block Blue Light store because you have nailed your visual hierarchy and you've done a great job. I don't actually want to say too much more about it. That's where my 2 little wins would be is, I'd be testing the language to make it more you focused and making it more about me and creating a healthier lifestyle and caring about my health more and doing that. You're probably doing it through email. You're probably doing it everywhere else. But yeah, I'd try and bring it into your actual website.
Have you heard of messaging CRO?
No, I haven't. No.
So yeah, there's an agency with guys that we are looking at, and so they do A/B test by purely changing the messaging of how the...
Great.
Yeah, so we're going to look at that as an option as well.
Perfect.
But definitely, like what you mentioned about CRO is definitely being on my mind. So first of all, was like we're going to build a new website. So I kind of went to a CRO and they're like, oh no, you don't have enough.
No.
And then when we built the website, I was like, well, let's just deploy a bunch of kind of like best practices.
100%.
And that's what we've done.
That's what I see when I see your website. You've nailed, you've gone through a ton of different websites and deployed best practices. However, the A/B testing, like every brand is different.
Correct. Yeah. That's where we're at now. It's in my mind too. I'm like, yeah, we've done like what works for most, but if we want to continue to increase that conversion rate more, we need to see what works for us. And that is, we need to start going, well, let's change this and run a test and go, how does it work? How does it play out? sort of thing. So yeah, I hadn't heard of Conversion Fanatics, so I will.
Yeah, so I've interviewed an insane amount of conversion rate, like for clients. I've been on the client side, like trying to get who we're going to work with, and I'm like, holy heck, these guys are asking for 20 grand up front, zero promises. You're like, what the frick? Conversion Fanatics were like, hey, look, this is our fee, it's monthly. You should. Honestly, we got our money back within the first test. And the cool thing is, like, if you do an A/B test and it wins forever. So it's, if you make an extra 5 grand every single month, you've actually gone 5 grand, 5 grand, 5 grand, 5 grand, 5, and it just compounds. It's like SEO, I guess. It's just like got this compounding effect. The last thing that just popped into my mind is I probably would try using some form of quiz on your site as well to direct people. I'm sure you may have thought about it already, but I feel like your product could work really well on your Facebook ads if you were going to more of a quiz style funnel than going straight to a website page. Because what you can do is you can educate a customer. You know in the back of your mind that you're really good at email as well. So if you can get someone's email through the quiz, it's like you don't even care if they purchase today because you're going to sell it to them one day because you guys are good at building that relationship. I definitely recommend looking at like a quiz funnel.
Yep. Yeah, that's
you can do
also
that
been on our radar.
Yeah, sweet, awesome. You're onto it. Like you actually know all of the like. You're in the you know the lingo, you know the space. Just building out the capacity of the team, I guess, is
that's it. That's literally what we need to do, and then we can start deploying a lot more things like the quiz and stuff. So I'm like, you know what? It'd be cool to have a quiz. I have zero time to deploy it, right?
Yeah,
but it's
totally. That's actually, so if you're going to try and direct your marketing guy, I would definitely suggest looking at quiz stuff because you guys are so hands-on support focused as well. Like you can build support into the quiz to make people feel like they're being handheld through the journey.
Yeah, because you just, some of the questions, you'd even ask some questions and it's not actually going to even influence the outcome of what you recommend, but it's like, it gets them thinking, right? It's like...
You pre-qualify stuff.
Yeah.
Do you struggle with sleep? Well, I didn't come here because of sleep.
But
like,
hey,
I do.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Well, great. We can solve the sleep problem today as well.
Yeah. And I guess it also just adds a bit of... Yeah, it's like we're asking what their problems are to help them, right? It's not come to our site and then here's our shit. Do you want to buy it or not? It's, hey, like we want to help you. Here, take our quiz so we can recommend the best product for your situation, sort of thing. Yeah,
totally. And it does help with TikTok and Facebook quiz style funnels because people don't know about you. They didn't even know they had the problem. Then they watch some weird person doing a dance. I don't know, maybe not a dance with a light bulb. And then but they only clicked. The question doesn't have to be selling a product or like looking at the product. It'll be like learn. You can make it more of a learn how your products. Learn how much blue light is affecting your health in your bedroom right now, or something like that. It's like, okay, I'll click this. And it's like, well, how many lights do you have in your room, and how many? You can kind of go down that track and be educating. And you guys are already experts at that, so awesome. Well done, man.
Cool.
Wow. Thanks, mate. Thanks, Dan.
What a bit of a marathon, eh? We covered a lot.
Mate, we did. And I know people are going to learn from it. Thank you so much. Do we have some kind of code that I can give people now?
Yeah, we can. I don't have one. We can do a code. What do you want it to be, man?
Okay. Let's just go Ecom Unleashed.
Yep, done. Yep.
Ecom Unleashed.
They'll be live. We'll put that live after this. So
awesome.
If anyone wants to check us
give
out.
Give people 10% off or something if they're on the website. And like everyone who's listening right now are working on computers, 100%. So.
Yeah. You're 15% off. We'll give them 15. Yeah.
Nice. Epic. Thanks, bro. Legend.
Cool, man.
Thanks, Dan. Well, thanks for being on today. And I've learned a lot and it's been an honor having a chat.
Cheers, brother.